Hi, I'm Jeannie Ralston. I'm a co-founder of NextTribe, and I'm excited to be here with Ricki Fairley on our weekly Sunday Salon. That's when we talk about personal development issues, things we need for inspiration, especially at these times, right?
Yeah.
So today we have Ricki, who I've known through a couple of events. She's spoken at South by Southwest when we talked about entrepreneurs. That was in 2019. And then she spoke at last year's Out Loud event in New York City and just blew doors. People were talking about it afterwards, people wanting to write her book, that kind of thing. So Ricki is the founder and president of Dev Marketing, whose mission is to deliver iconic thinking, strategic problem solving, and creative genius to clients. And she's been in marketing for 30 plus years, has this long list of impressive clients from Johnson & Johnson's to Coca-Cola. And she is she holds the Creative Thinking Association of American Leadership Award, was named a top 10 marketer by Black Enterprise, and received
That's enough.
That's okay. But you get the idea. But she's also, what's not in her official bio is something that I learned about when we first met to talk about our South by Southwest experience. She has an amazing story of resilience and survival and strength. And I thought that it would be a great thing to talk about that today with you, Ricki, because we all could use a bit of that right now. A lot of inspiring story about somebody who really had strength to make it through something daunting. So can you tell us a little bit about your life pre-diagnosis?
Sure.
And how that came about?
Well, I'm sure like all of you, you're like a superwoman of the world, right? We're all these super women that take care of everybody, take on everything, create all these dependencies around us, whether it's our kids, our husbands, our jobs, and try to do everything for everybody. That's just how we're built, right, as women. And so I was a typical superwoman, and I was working. I had two partners. I ran a marketing company. I have two daughters. My baby daughter was a sophomore at Dartmouth. I had to put her through school. I was the breadwinner for my family, and I was also the rainmaker for my company. And so I look back now and I said, I created all these dependencies. I let all these people be dependent on me. I had to learn that though, right? Because we just sort of do it instinctively. And so I literally, I had put off my annual checkup, and my mom had stage 0 breast cancer 10 years prior to this. So she was very, pushy about, okay, get your mammogram. So I put off my annual checkup because my baby daughter Haley was in China, and I was traveling a lot and on the road, and I kind of put it off to wait till she came home, just to save time. I needed a minute, so I said, okay, I'll put off for a month. Had I done it when I was supposed to do it in July, my cancer probably wouldn't have shown up, and I'd be dead. So it was all God working. So I go to the doctor with my daughter. I have my checkup. My doctor finds a lump. Probably it was a little tiny peanut under my nipple. And probably had I been having sex with my husband, which I wasn't, ouch, he would have found it. Whoops. But anyway, but I have had a lump. And so I said, well, I really don't have time for this. I'm about to leave on a business trip. What are you going to do? So I literally was about to take my daughter back to Dartmouth to go to school. We got on the plane. We went to Dartmouth. I packed her up, unpacked her, went to Target 50 times, bought all the stuff, right? She was a sophomore. And as I was leaving to go in the Boston airport, I got a call from my doctor saying, yes, Ricki, you do have breast cancer. And I said, well, you know what? I'm about to get on a plane to San Francisco from Boston. I don't really have time to talk about it right now. I'll be home in 2 weeks. I have like a really important 2 weeks. I have a lot of trips planned and events planned. I'll call you when I get back. So I get on the plane for 6 hours going to California. And I was like, this is not real. This is just a dream. That was like an illusion. That didn't really happen before I got on the plane. And I got to San Francisco. I was in California for about 3 days. My doctor called me back and said, okay, Ricki, not only do you have breast cancer, but you have triple negative breast cancer, and you need to come home now. And I said, well, triple negative, that doesn't sound so bad, right? That doesn't sound so bad. She's like, no, it's the worst one. So I started, went to Dr. Google, and triple negative breast cancer, and I can explain it to you, but it's better for you just to look it up on our website, Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. But it's basically how your body receives chemo and receives treatments. And it comes in 3 receptors. One's based on estrogen, one's based on progesterone, and one's based on an enzyme called HER2. If you test negative for all those, it's triple negative. It has the highest mortality rate, and it's the only breast cancer that doesn't have a drug to prevent recurrence. So you probably have heard of tamoxifen or Herceptin. You take something for 5 years. We don't have a drug. And so it's very fatal. It usually comes back very quickly and people die. So I went through all the treatment, and I went to my doctor and I said, well, you know, I have to get Haley through Dartmouth and I have to pay for it. So me, you, and God need to work on this because I can't die right now. And I, you know, basically, you know, did all the stuff. So I did a double mastectomy by choice. I did 6 rounds of pretty aggressive chemo. I did 6 weeks of radiation, and then a year, and I was given a clean bill of health. A year to the day, they found 5 spots on my chest wall and said, you're now metastatic. You have 2 years to live. Get your affairs in order. We're going to try some more chemo, but we're not sure if it's going to work. We'll see what happens. So I went back on chemo, and all through this whole time working like a crazy person, but because I had to put my daughter through school, and they went in 4 months later to put in implants, and the cancer was gone. We don't really know what happened. God intervened, and I'm still here 8 years later. So I'm very blessed to be here. I don't know, you know, I can only say that God intervened, because everything I know about the science, it shouldn't have happened. So I should be dead. So I don't take any day or any minute or any second for granted. And I live every day at the fullest. But I also realized that I had to change my life in a lot of ways. And so, you know, being the super person, right? My first meeting with my nurse navigator, she said, you know, you are totally stressed out. And I said, stressed out? Who has time for stress? Stress is for wimps. It's a cop out. You know, I was like, what am I going to do? Not go to work, not feed the kids? Like, shut up. I don't have time. You know, I said, how do I know that I'm stressed? And she said, well, how many times a day do you either think or say the word asshole? So I never really said it out loud, but I probably said it 100 times a day in my head. And that was actually the word I used to describe both my business partner and my husband. And usually with an adjective or two, maybe one that begins with F, all day long. So that's how I describe them. And so I realized that I had to get rid of all the assholes in my life. And what that meant was I had to get rid of all the cancers in my life, not just the one in my body. So I did a lot of things while on chemo, and everyone told me I was crazy, but I knew that I had to save myself. And so I sold my house, my big house, you know, 5-bedroom house in the suburbs of Atlanta. I quit my business partners. I started my own business in between my 3rd and 4th rounds of chemo, and I packed up my stuff and moved to the beach. And so I don't know if you can see it right now, but so I live on a marina on the Chesapeake Bay, and I totally changed everything about my life. I started paddleboarding, and I changed everything about my life to try to get rid of all the cancers. I had to learn that my peace is non-negotiable. I had to find the peace, and I had to learn that it's non-negotiable. So if I start to even think or say the word asshole, I will hang up the phone, walk out of the room, and the meeting, see you, bye, I'm out. Because I think it's so important to find your peace and find, you know, what's going to make you feel good about everything. No one should suffer, and no one should have stress in their lives. And we all do. And a lot of it I had to learn was kind of self-contrived, you know, self-control. I let people get away with it, and you have to stop it. So
is that your signal is when you think the word asshole? Is that your signal? But can you, but what if it's just somebody like the phone company or something? How do you get rid of that kind of stress?
If I feel like it's stressing me out, I'll hang up and get another person. Because, you know, not every customer service rep person is a good one, but there's others that are good, you know. And it's funny because now I have the worst cable. I won't mention the company, but it's really bad. And it's been really bad since we're all online now. And so they actually gave me my own person to call. I call so often, you know, with the problem, but I think you just have to find a way to do it. You have to find a way to do it, and you have to find a way not to put yourself in a situation when you're going to be stressed. And it's really hard, and it takes some effort, but at the end of the day, you know, we can't rock our peace. And now, you know, things are so crazy, you know, everybody's glued to MSNBC and CNN. Turn it off, watch a movie, watch A Happy Place. The other thing, you know, I have a dance party every day, either in my car or on the beach or somewhere in my front yard. I don't really care. I turn on the music, Michael Jackson, James Brown, whatever, and I dance. I do a lot with my dance, a lot with my grandkids, but I have to find some release every day to make yourself happy.
And do you work out? I mean, do you like?
I paddleboard as much as I can. It's been really windy here, so it's been bad. But the one thing good about the stay-at-home order is there's no recreational boating on the Chesapeake Bay, which means the only things that can go out there are paddleboards and kayaks. So the water is like so calm and beautiful now. I don't have to compete with waves and, you know, crazy boat drivers. So I paddleboard a lot, I cycle a lot, and I walk a lot. So I walk a lot.
So in this time, I mean, well, first let's go back to do you have any thoughts on what it was that helped you defy that prognosis? I mean, I know you said it was a miracle and God was looking out for you, but have the doctors talked about it or anything? How that?
Yeah, my oncologist calls me her miracle baby. You know, we don't really know. And we don't really know. The science says I should not be here. And I'm just very blessed. I had you know, cancer in my lymph nodes, and I had 5 spots on my chest wall. They disappeared. And I did a lot of chemo. At the time, the second time around, I did some experimental drugs so that are now more widespread. But we don't really know what happened. And I've met a lot of women that had what I had and aren't here to talk about it.
Oh.
So I know that I'm very, very blessed. One of my hashtags is walking in blessings. You know, my other one's triple positive, because I don't really know. I mean, and the science has advanced a lot. Even when I was sick, I was thinking, you know, so triple negative is about 15% of breast cancers. And so it wasn't getting a lot of attention from pharma companies because they couldn't make any money, because it was such a small percentage of the audience, and the women died so quickly, it wasn't worth their time. But now we have 2 new drugs on the market that literally one of them just got FDA approval last week. And that's going to change the landscape for a lot of women with metastatic triple negative. So I'm very thankful that science is now advancing in favor of our disease. And I love all of my breasties. I call my breast cancer friends my breasties. I love all of them, but my triple negative breasties, there's, you know, we fight a different fight. We have a different battle. And so my heart is very big for them. And I do a lot of breast cancer advocacy. I know that through all of this, that's my purpose, that God gave me my purpose. I know what my purpose is.
I think you said it in New York, your God kept you here to look after everybody's boobies.
Yep, I did. Yep, I really know that I have to talk about breast health, and I do it every day. And you know, lately I've been, you know, spent so much time talking my breast cancer warriors off the ledge. They call me when they're on their way to chemo. I'm on my way to chemo. I've got to pass the COVID tent to get to the hospital. Can you just stay on the phone with me? And I talk them through it. Okay, where are you now? Are you walking? Are you in? And also, you know, you should never go alone to the doctor. I tell everybody this about everything, and they have to go alone. They're getting treatment alone.
Oh, right.
Treatment alone. They're getting scans alone. You know, the whole thing, when you have to go get a scan, it's a whole, we call it scanxiety, when you have to go get your PET scan and see if your cancer is gone or grown. And to have to go alone is really, really hard. So just, you know, FaceTiming with people when they're in the doctor's office. I'm doing a lot of that to help people through it. So, and then I actually have a friend she's 29. She has triple negative. They just sent her to hospice, a 3 and a 7-year-old, and she's so afraid of having to die alone. That's what she's, you know, talking about. So it's so sad. This whole COVID thing has just added another layer. You know, breast cancer doesn't go away. You know, it's not going to stop because of COVID. So have a lot of work to do.
Ricki, during your time, were you ever scared when you were getting these diagnoses, or what?
I had one pity party, and you know, I didn't have time to be scared. I was so focused on getting Haley through Dartmouth she was my motivation, you know, like when I was sick. But I had one pity party, and it was the day really that my doctor said, you have 2 years to live. And so I went home, and then I went to the car dealer and I bought a Z, and I bought a sports car. I came home with a sports car, and my daughter's like, what is wrong with you? Have you lost your mind? I said, whatever, you know, but, and that was really the only day I really cried and like took an action, but I didn't really have time. I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to focus on where I needed to go next. And it was really to get Haley through school, which we did. And I remember sitting at graduation at Dartmouth with my mom, with my a bunch of my girlfriends, my 2 Dartmouth roommates, and with my husband and with my older daughter. And I said, okay, we did it. And every day I called Haley at whatever time and said, Haley, I figured out that Dartmouth costs $382.79 a day. So every call her and say, how are you spending our money? It's 2:00. Like, I don't really care what you're doing. You get the A's, I'll, figure out how to pay for this. Right. So when we did it, we got her to graduation, and I said, okay, God, what am I supposed to do next? And that's when it hit me that I need to talk about breast health, and I need to help other women through what I had and through this ordeal. And Black women are dying at a 42% higher rate than white women. The mortality rates are so crazy. Our recurrence rate is 39%. So I really try to help, women deal with this horrible disease. And I hope all of you check your breasts. That's all we can do. You can't prevent breast cancer, but you can early detect it. And you have to check your breasts and get in a routine. So your body, your body, and you can, if you feel like something's not going right. And even now, going through COVID, people are calling, say, I found a lump. What should I do? Well, call the doctor, damn it. Don't wait because of COVID. Cancer is not going to wait. You have to, take care of yourself. And if your doctor doesn't want to see you, get another doctor.
Yeah. And Ricki, did you say that the incidence of breast cancer is 42% higher?
So actually the incidence rate is about the same for all women, but the mortality rate. So Black women are more likely to die, 42% more likely to die of breast cancer than white women, even though we get it at the same rate. That's across the board. Now, younger women, Black women under 35 get breast cancer at twice the rate and are dying at 3 times the rate.
Wow.
Numbers are really, really horrible. I think it's, a different disease. And it's based on, I really believe it's based on physiology. Like, I don't have any gene mutations. If you do have any history in your family, get gene tested and just know what you're up against. I don't have any mutations. My doctors really believe there's probably a gene for triple negative with Black women that we haven't identified yet. And so we're trying to put some science around that to see what it is. But it's physiological, it's psychosocial, it's the social determinants of health, it's all the things. I mean, one of the facts I always kind of quote is that 77.3% of African American moms are single moms. So add breast cancer to that, add COVID to that, add both of them to that, add anything to that, and what do you get? You get the mom who has to go to work to feed her kids. And that's going to be the priority, right? So am I going to skip my mammogram because I have to feed my kids and I can't miss a day of work? Am I going to skip my chemo because I have to go to work? Am I, all of those factors affect, mortality. And we're getting it at later stages and, dying more quickly. So
Kathy Height has a comment, I think, here. Kathy, do you want
to? Yeah, sure. So I had breast cancer in 2007.
Bless you, my breastie. Bless you.
Sorry?
Bless you, my breastie.
So it's funny because I remember saying, I'm going to die someday, but I'm not going to die from this. And a friend of mine gave me this book by Dr. Barry Siegel. It was called, I put it down here, it's called Medicine, Miracles, and Self-Healing. And he's a surgeon, but he said, he kind of wrote about some of his patients that he had given some pretty dismal prognosis to, who he said had just such belief that they were not going to die, and that he said they just had this fighting spirit in them. And I was trying to do a reality check with them, but they just had this firm belief that they were going to be okay. And he said, I can share countless stories of, he said, what I would call miraculous healing. He said, I diagnosed someone, and then, like a few months later, I'm checking on them and it's gone. And I can't even explain it. He said, I've even operated on people who were going to die, and I talked to them, and I know they were under sedation. And he said, and it was like their body started to work for them and helped us, like if they were bleeding out or something like that. And he said, first doctors thought it was crazy. He said, but the more doctors I talked to, they said they've encountered that as well. So he wrote about it. And I just thought that was really helpful to have a book that confirmed that your attitude, how positive you are. And it's not to say that it's going to work 100% of the time, but it's not giving in to the fear and not sort of throwing the towel in on yourself. And so he said, you know, once I saw that enough times, I started to really work with my clients to make sure that they believe that too, you know. And he said it's amazing to see what kind of healing can take place. And he said, as a doctor, sometimes I can't even explain it.
Mm.
Yeah, I tell everybody you have to fight like a girl. You have to wake up every morning and fight like a girl, you know, and you have to believe that you're going to get better, that you can deal with it. And I mean, I remember days when, you know, if you had breast cancer, you know, like I'm laying in my bed. I'm like, okay, body, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, so let's see who's to move first. Does the head have to move first? Or should like, okay, let's sit up. Okay, body, let's sit up. Okay, now put your feet on the floor. Now try to stand up. Now put one, like, just to get yourself to the bathroom, you know. And so, but you have to have that inertia to make yourself move and know that you're going to make it. And I had so much help from my girlfriends, my friends from my whole life came and took care of me, from childhood, from college, from work, my work experience. And a lot of them didn't even know each other. And we now have a club. I started a club with them called SMAD, Sisters Making a Difference. And now we do a prayer call every Sunday night. But they came, and so every Sunday somebody would come and somebody would leave. And we never talked about it. They knew that I would never ask for help. So they just showed up. And so they became such a support system for me. But I remember, you know, I felt like I was in a cloud of prayers. I felt, you know, faith is my spiritual gift. And my one good friend, she's my biggest prayer warrior. I remember calling her one night at 4 a.m. saying, I don't know what to pray for. I don't know what to pray for. And she said, pray for healing. What's wrong with you? But I knew I wasn't supposed to pray for healing. I knew that I was supposed to pray for God's will to be done, whatever it is. And I wasn't fearful of dying. I wasn't fearful of the outcome. I was more praying for, I know there's a plan for me, and I know the right thing is going to happen. And I knew that God knew what I was up against, so that I had to get Haley through school, and I had more work to do, and I had to take care of my parents and whatever. So I had confidence that the right thing would happen because of my faith.
And so you didn't necessarily think, I'm not going to die of this. Like that, what Kathy was talking about was more like, I feel I'm ready to be used as God needs me. Yes. Or you have a lot of faith.
Yes, that I know that God has a plan, and I know that God knows what I have to do, what has to get done for my family and for my daughter. And so I just prayed for God's will to be done. And I knew the right thing would happen. And but I also now know that he left me here with much work to do, which is another one of my hashtags, that I know that I'm supposed to talk to women every day. I know that I'm supposed to help find a cure. I have, 2 precious grandbabies. I do not want them to even speak the words breast cancer in their lifetime. And that's why I work every day. So I do a lot of work with Sisters Network, Inc., which is the only national African-American breast cancer organization. It was founded 25 years ago by a wonderful, brilliant woman, Karen Jackson. And I do a lot of work, to help Black women. And then I also serve on the board of the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. So I do, I talk on social media all the time. If you want to follow me at Ricki Dove, RICKIDOV, I'll remind you to check your breasts on the 20th of every month. And I just think it's really important to talk about it and, do the right thing.
I'm trying to get the link for triple negative breast. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, so triple negative, the link on the internet is tnbcfoundation.org, and then sistersnetworkinc.org.
I just put those for you are interested in the chat here, the links. And so I also wanted to say, so what do you think? Oh wait, JB is raising her hand. Hold on, I want to get, where are you?
Judy, my Dartmouth sister.
Hey there, how are you, darling?
How are you?
I haven't heard your voice in many, many years.
I know, it's so good to see you.
I said, I know this woman can talk about resiliency, but I just wanted to say amen to God's will be done. Even though you want something urgently yourself, that to pray that whatever you have for me, even if it is not my wish, that be done. So I just wanted to say amen to that, because I understand that prayer very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So my question is, what can we take from your experience now that all of us, if we've had cancer or not, I know there are survivors in the group, as we all go through this anxious time, what do you think we can all take from how you've managed your very stressful time?
Well, you know, I hope that no one has to go through what I went through to find peace in their life. Like, to me, you know, when you get on the plane and they say, put the mask on yourself first, we don't do that as women. We're crazy. You know, like, who told us that we have to take care of everybody, you know?
Mhm.
So I think you can find your peace, whatever it is. And I know it's really hard because we're all, you know, at home with our families now, or people are around us. But you have to find your peace and find your purpose. And don't go through a trauma to get there. It's okay to say no. It's okay to change your path. It's okay to sell your house. It's okay to move to the beach. It's okay to, you know, do something for yourself that you want and you need. And you don't have to feel sorry about it. You don't have to feel guilty for it. Just make it happen. And I know that, you know, I talk to my husband all the time now about grandkids, you know, but I mean, he was a pain in my ass. And so now, you know, I can have a good relationship with him because he doesn't live in my house. You know, so it's not like you want people to go away and you don't want to dismiss them, but put them in a place that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work for you, then, you know, like, you need to move them out the way, or get people away, and surround yourself with the people that are going to enrich you and help you and love you and support you and give you what you need. And it's hard sometimes. And, you know, people were in shock because our family was like the Brady Bunch or the Cosby family, you know, not Bill Cosby, but so people were appalled when I got divorced, you know, like, what's wrong with you? It's a 30-year marriage, right? So but I had to choose something that wasn't appealing to everybody, and because for myself, and it took getting sick to find that energy to do that. So don't do that. You can do it today. You can find your peace today, but you have to just know that your peace is non-negotiable with anybody.
Do you think that maybe during this time, a lot of people are coming to that a similar kind of a conclusion, like, oh my gosh, life is short, and I've been giving pieces of myself away this whole time. Do you think it's a chance for us to focus on what it is that we really need?
Yeah, I do. I think that, you know, I think everybody has a COVID story of some friend of a friend, you know, even if it hasn't touched you personally. But so I think the fear of getting the disease is there. But I also think it's a really good time to see how women are shining. You know, I watched my daughter. So I've been supporting my daughter a lot with my two grandkids. We had her nanny's husband's a bus driver and he's working, so we can't let her into the family bunker, right? So we're all taking turns taking care of the 2.5 and the 10-month-old. But I watch her and I try to, you know, help her balance, you know, okay, I have to work and I have to take care of my kids, but I have to find my peace every day. You know what I mean? So I think that we're seeing women step up to the plate. Clearly the women health workers are stepping up to the plate, but now the women in the houses are stepping up to the plate. But I think now the husbands and the men in our lives, or the people that we support, are seeing now what we really do as women. You know, I think my son-in-law has a new appreciation for even me and my daughter, because he sees what we do. Like, normally they go to work, they come home, the dinner's there, the food's ready, whatever, and the laundry's done and the kids are happy and in bed. But now they're seeing what it really takes to run the household. And I think we should be proud of that and take advantage of that and make people learn and embrace it and be a part of it. You know, be a part of it. You know, my son-in-law now has pigtails in his hair because he needs a haircut. The girls are doing his hair. He's got nail polish on his toenails. but you know, he's a perfect girl dad. #girl dad. But I think that I hope that people appreciate women more because they actually can see what we're doing. And I think we should, you know, we're all badasses. We should make everybody see it.
Yeah.
More.
And I love what you said about your friends, the support you got for your friends.
Yeah.
We've done stories and stories about that, I think people with good social networks have a better chance of surviving illness. And I think that good social networks help us through this, even though we can't be physically in touch, but we can do all these Zoom calls and so forth. So it's really important, isn't it, to cultivate that?
Yeah, I think that I've actually seen my family more because we do a Zoom call every Sunday. We have Sunday dinner together. And my sister like sends out the menu. I never cook what she says to cook. But we sit down and eat dinner together on Zoom, which is great. And then I have like my group of girlfriends. We meet on Friday nights and have, you know, cocktail hour. Then I have my snatches. We do our prayer on Sunday night. So I think I'm actually seeing people more than I would have seen them because we're connected virtually and the forced conversation, but it turns out to be great. And sometimes 2 people show up, sometimes 10, you never really know who's coming, but it's that, you know, we can have that sisterhood camaraderie, you know, even more so than we would have if we were, you know, out in the world.
Right. And the other thing that I've heard too, and maybe this will help in as far as how to cope with COVID is sometimes if you're got too much anxiety, it really helps if you turn it and start working with others and helping others. It takes away a lot of that pressure. So you, of all people, with all you do, can tell us about that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I get so much gratification when I have to talk a Presti off the ledge. Like, to me, I know that sounds crazy, but I do feel better if I can help somebody through something that I went through. And now I can't even, you know, relate to dealing with COVID, but going to chemo, but hopefully I think it's really important to help somebody through something and, you know, take the energy off of you or the focus off of you and put it on somebody else, and you'll feel blessed by it and everybody will benefit. I also tell everybody needs to take a walk. And, you know, I'm a morning person. I love to walk in the morning. Take a walk. You don't need a gym to walk. You don't need weights. You don't need equipment. You're out there, you're with God, whether it's sunny, rainy, whatever, snowy, whatever, take a walk. And, you know, you can, you know, be social distance from the nearest person. But I think everybody needs to take a walk every day. It's not hard to do. And if you can't walk outside, walk in your house. If you can't walk because you can't walk, then go sit outside for a minute. But I think, you know, it's such an opportunity now to see God in nature and take a minute.
And I've got everybody on where I can see everybody. I had told if you're a late arrival, I said, please write your questions or comments in chat. But does anybody, if you want to just raise your hand, if you have something you want to add to this discussion about either cancer and survival or resilience or how to make it through a tough time like this, you can raise your hand. Let me see. Is anybody raising hands? Come on. We got some shy people. Here's Jeanette. Jeanette.
Yes. I just want to say thank you. And I feel like that peace thing is so important. And I don't know, a couple of years ago, I got divorced and chose to leave. And I feel like so many people judged me and I couldn't explain it, but I didn't have peace. And so I just so relate to that word, and it has guided me through all my decisions now, because if you're not at peace, that inner turmoil just really hurts you. And I agree so much, and just to pray and feel what God's purpose is for us. So I appreciate you stating that so clearly. But I say, yes, I totally agree. And thank you.
Thank you. Keep the peace. Yeah.
And I have to see if there's anybody else first before I ask my next question. Anybody else have something to add? Because it's something we all struggle with, right?
Yeah.
Through the tough times. But I thought maybe you could tell us how we can help, first of all, with the breast cancer and all your organizations. I mean, obviously making donations, but other things that it's important for us to help you with your work.
Well, you know, donations are always welcome to both of them. But I think just, you know, tell somebody to check their breasts. Call all the women that you know, or tell them to follow me and I'll tell them. You know, tell them to take care of themselves. Tell them to find peace. Tell them, you know, kind of just give them the message that it's okay to not be a superwoman, you know, every minute. It's okay to take your cape off for a minute. I think that, you know, we all, you know, I don't know why we have this assumption that we have to save the world every day. And we do, I mean, in our own way, but we have to do it in a way that's not going to be at our own expense. And it's really important, I think, just to help each other out too, cook dinner for a friend and drop it off at their door. Go take care of an older person. Go for a walk with somebody with the appropriate 6 feet social distancing that has been in their house for the last 3 weeks. Go get them out. Say, come meet me outside and meet me on the balcony. My mom lives in an independent living situation. We actually took her out yesterday because they had a couple of COVID cases, unfortunately. But we would do balcony visits. Just go hang out in the balcony, and she's on her balcony. We're in the parking lot, jumping up and down. Me and my granddaughter. So. Go visit people that you haven't if they're not on Zoom, go get them out of their house. They can talk to you through their window. They can stand at the front door. You can be in your car, but just reach out to people. Now's a really good time to connect, That's really important. I have a great poem too I was going to read.
Oh, wonderful.
But it's kind of my mantra, and I think it's like one of my favorite things. It's actually written by a yogi. Her name is Teresa K. Kennedy, but I'll read it to you. I live on purpose every day. I look to my creator to show me the way. I choose thoughts that nurture my mind. I eliminate views that are negative and unkind. I honor my body as the temple of my soul. I choose foods that are nourishing and whole. I serve myself and others with love, showing gratitude to my source above. My favorite line. I seek order, simplicity, and peace, creating space for my blessings to increase. I choose wisely in all I do, prioritizing my energy to live authentically and true. I pursue every task with conviction. I view unconscious inaction as an affliction. I am fully present, living as if this is the last day for me to enjoy my gift. Take time to pause and play, giving balance and joy, no delay. I live these power-filled principles every day. I do my best to get out of the way.
Wow.
I'll send you that.
Yeah. What's the name of it? Yeah, this is beautiful.
So it's actually a book called Power-Filled Principles. I think that it's a woman. Her name is Teresa K. Kennedy.
Okay.
I'll send you a link to her stuff.
Okay. Well, and we can send it I can send it out to you, to everyone who RSVP'd through Eventbrite. But I put her name in the chat. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I seek order, simplicity, and peace, creating space for my blessings to increase is my favorite.
Okay, what is it? Creating?
I create order, simplicity, and peace. I seek order, simplicity, and peace, creating space for my blessings to increase.
Peace, creating space
for my blessings to increase.
Beautiful.
So just find your peace, and we have to find it for ourselves. Nobody's going to give it to you, unfortunately. No one's going to give it to you. No one's going to say, here's a pretty package with a bow that says you can have whatever you want, So you have to get your own bow, sit, make a seat for yourself at the table, whatever it takes, put yourself out there and do what you got to do, But again, it's like fighting like a girl.
And do you ever look back on your time before what do you think of your pre-diagnosis life now? Do you ever think, oh my gosh, I was... You don't realize what you're in until you're out of it, and you can look back and say, oh my God, what was I thinking? And what was I doing? But you have to step out of it to be able to have the perspective to look back. And I've had a great life. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I have, I've done great things with my career. I love what I do for my work. And I think you just have to figure out what's going to give you peace. And I didn't have it. So, would I wish breast cancer on anyone? But do I see it as a blessing that I think God gave me a gift that I could find and shift and do something different? Don't wait to get sick to shift if you have to shift. If you wake up in the morning, you don't feel peaceful, then make a change. It's okay. People are going to survive. Your family's going to accept it. And you may make some people mad and piss them off for a minute, but they all come around if they love you, Oh, that's beautiful. And
my daughter's had a little trouble, understanding the divorce. And, I said, everything will come out in the wash. I never spoke negatively about their dad. I was like, okay, whatever happens. And it all came around,
Have you always been are you an optimist, seeing the good? Okay, because I think that...
I've always been an optimist. I've always been an optimist. And I've always had the spiritual gift of faith, got tested. But but I've always, you know, tried to find the good in everything. You know, one of my mother's things she always said to me is, everything will always work out for the best, Ricki. You know, so so that was sort of what I grew up with. And you have to just find it. But, you know, sometimes it takes some work and it takes some change, and it's okay to change, and it's okay to, you know, to change again. You may not find it the first time.
Yeah.
There's no rules. It's your party.
That's beautiful, guys. I'm encouraged. I always try to see, like, even when I'm, like, for instance, going through this, I always try to hold on to the silver linings, the positives in all of this. And it sounds like I mean, that's not my natural state, but I've really been pushing myself. But it sounds like it might be your natural state, which is a blessing, isn't it, to have that?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I try to be a joy seeker. I try to find joy. But I try to make a party out of everything. Even when I was on chemo, I made a party every chemo. Like, I baked brownies, or we had a party. My baby daughter, they even performed Nutcracker at chemo one time, because I actually had chemo the day before Christmas Eve 2 years in a row. And so the second time was when we realized I was going to die. So my daughter brought her ballet company and they did Nutcracker. So, but I try to make a party every day somewhere. How? You know, just find a party, make a party. Even if it's your own little cupcake or whatever it is that makes you happy, it's okay to eat the marshmallow or the chocolate chip cookie or whatever. You know, I think one of the two things my doctor actually wrote me a prescription for was eat chocolate covered almonds at 2:00 every day, which I do a lot. I really eat ice cream every day. That's my and watch something that's going to make you laugh. You know, like when I was sick, I watched I Love Lucy and Dick Van Dyke and all those sort of old 60s shows every day. Cosby Show. But you know, find something that's going to give you peace. And you know what, if you go away from your family or your work for 5 minutes, for 15 minutes, for an hour, they're going to be fine. Maybe they won't even miss you. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Let it go for a minute. You know, if you need some peace, go find it, and you're going to come back to the same whatever that you left, same craziness that you left. But for that 5 minutes, that'll just give you more energy to deal with whatever you have to deal with.
Beautiful. Very good. I'll ask one more time if there's any last words before we thank Ricki. And I also want to tell you that next week, I just found out that, Kathy has a question here. We'll get Kathy back. Kathy?
You know, I like to synthesize information just because it's easier to walk away and say, well, what were the 3 or 4 things?
The sermon, right?
Yeah. So there's a part of me that's just thinking to myself, okay, based on everything that you said, what would you say are the 3 or 4 things that someone needs to do to build resilience during this time? I mean, like, one thing I heard was find your peace. And it seems like a lot of people really resonated around that. So there are pieces, but then there's a part of me that wants to distill it and say, if I was going to walk away from this, what are the 3 or 4 things that you would tell us to walk away with for resilience?
The first one for sure is your peace is non-negotiable. Okay. You know, find it's non-negotiable. No one should rock it don't let anyone rain on your parade. It's non-negotiable. I make my daughters watch Funny Girl all the time to hear "Don't Rain on My Parade." That's something I taught them young. But I think the other thing too is check your breath. Check your breath. Check your breath. Check your breath. We can't prevent it, but we can early detect it. And the last one is find your joy every day. Do something for yourself that's going to make you happy. Whether it's a dance party for me, eating ice cream, eating chocolate, whatever it is, find some joy every day in your life.
I love that. I love to dance myself. We actually even done a
dance party.
Dance party. We've had a dance party where we're working on our technology to have another one. It was
I know. I tried to join it, but I actually had 3 dance parties that night when you had yours. So I'm doing all the time. Actually, so the last one I went to, I actually got dressed up. Like, we all got dressed up in like sparkles and stuff, and you know, showed off our shoes because, you know, the feet are looking pretty rough now. We need a manicure.
Well, I love that. I love dancing, dance every day, find your joy, help somebody else,
Yeah.
and find strength in your friends. I mean, that's very, very important. So thank you so much, Ricki, for being with us and inspiring us. And next week, I'm gonna talk with Ashton Applewhite, and she's a anti-ageism activist and a writer. She's incredible and inspiring, just like you. So I think it's really great. We all need these little boosts to get through this, and look at all the resources we have, all these fabulous women in our NextTribe age group to help us along, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate NextTribe. It's such a great community, and you're doing such great stuff for women. Jeannie, I love you for that.
Okay, well, I think, yeah, big hug. All right, take care to all of you. See you soon. Thank you, Ricki.
Stay safe and healthy.
Yes, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.